have taken it seriously, all the times that he either put her in the hospital, she filed charges, he had a restraining order, and nothing kept him away. Did everything in our power. So it almost seems like, as the civilians, if we would have taken this in our own hands, perhaps my sister would have still been here.
In Jaynice Ferguson-Williams's brief 23 years on this earth, she basked in a love unparalleled, nurtured by her devoted family. As the cherished baby among several sisters, she radiated joy in their lives. In 2019, she graduated high school, her path leading her to Texas Southern University, where she earned her bachelor's degree in business administration in 2022. In the professional realm, she toiled in customer service, harboring dreams of ascending the corporate hierarchy. Alas, her personal life harbored a darker narrative. At the tender age of 19 or 20, Jaynice embarked on a fleeting romance with 42-year-old Algie Mac Washington. In the brief span of their connection, Mac wrought a cruel symphony of physical, verbal, and emotional abuse upon her. Jaynice's resolve was unwavering. She promptly severed all ties. Yet, the specter of Mac continued to loom menacingly, stalking, harassing, and subjecting her to relentless attacks over the course of 3 years. Tragically, on January 17, her valiant struggle met a devastating end as Mac finally succeeded in extinguishing her life, leaving her family's hearts forever shattered. Welcome to the American Crime, Femicide channel. Please like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell for future uploads. Despite finding the promise of new love, Williams's last 3 years were marred by an unrelenting nightmare orchestrated by Algie. His arrest record paints a harrowing portrait of domestic abuse inflicted upon Ferguson. Washington's dark history is tainted with 4 felonies, all targeting her, including aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury, assault of a family member with a previous conviction, assault impeding breath, and continuous violence against family. In March 2023, Washington was sentenced to a mere 1-year term for assaulting Ferguson. Court records reveal the horrific details, where Washington, in a fit of rage, punched her in the face, choked her, brandished a kitchen knife and scissors, all while threatening her not to leave. Even her current boyfriend, with whom she resided, fell victim to Washington's menacing presence when he showed up at their apartment, demanding to speak with her. Ferguson also suspected Washington of vandalizing her vehicle on 2 separate occasions, but concrete proof eluded her, as documented in court records. Jaynice diligently reported each of these incidents, but justice meted out mere slaps on the wrist. If the police had taken these reports with the seriousness they deserved, Ferguson might still be with us today. However, on January 17, around 7 p.m., the police were summoned to Ferguson's residence, where she lay unconscious, from a gunshot wound to her leg. As she was hurriedly placed in an ambulance, she mustered the strength to whisper to the EMT that her ex had shot her. Despite their efforts, she succumbed to her injuries at the hospital.
Man is on the run, accused of shooting and killing his ex-girlfriend during an argument on the west side of Houston, where investigators say the man went to his ex-girlfriend's apartment in Dunvale in Richmond just after 7 last night, and the two got into an argument. Cops say the ex-boyfriend pulled a gun, shot her in the leg. She was taken to the hospital where she later died.
A woman used her dying breath to tell police her ex-boyfriend shot her moments before she died. And tonight, the family of Jaynice Ferguson is sharing their story only with us here at ABC 13. And ABC 13's Luke Jones is live outside the Harris County Jail, where the suspect is being held on a $1 million bond. Luke?
And it's a bond the victim's family hopes he isn't able to post because they say he still poses a danger to other women. They're also questioning why he wasn't stopped sooner after numerous police calls and even a protection order.
I had ever since she was 3 days old.
More than anything else, this father wants his daughter, Jaynice Ferguson, back.
I can't see her no more. I can't put my arm behind her no more.
But since he can't have that, he and his remaining daughters at least want answers. Answers about why, after 3 years of alleged harassment, assault, and a protection order, police say Algie Washington was still able to track down and kill Ferguson last week at her Southwest Houston apartment.
They would have taken it seriously, All the times that he either put her in the hospital, she filed charges, he had a restraining order, and nothing kept him away.
Ferguson started dating Washington in 2020. She broke things off that same year, but her family tells us he refused to take no for an answer.
He would have a brick with a rubber band with a letter on it, and he would break her windows out.
After a 2021 assault, Ferguson was granted a protection order, but the harassment continued, and in 2022, Washington was arrested for trying to strangle Ferguson. Police confirmed they took 2 calls about her tires being slashed, one as late as New Year's Day, and her family says there were even more.
And we did everything in our power. So it almost seems like, as the civilians, if we would have taken this in our own hands, perhaps my sister would have still been here.
If they let him out of jail, I know he's going to go do it again. This is his passion. He has passion doing that.
Keeping their sister's accused killer in jail won't bring her back, but they say it could very well spare others.
Because you took something from me.
This same heartache.
This is what I want.
Justice for Jaynice.
Breaking news right now. A wanted man accused of murdering his 23-year-old ex-girlfriend has been found and arrested.
Investigators say they tracked him down at an apartment complex on the west side this morning. Court is a familiar place for the suspect who has a lengthy history of domestic violence against his ex-girlfriend. ABC 13's Brooke Taylor is live outside court where he just appeared. And Brooke, you also spoke to the victim's family.
That's right, Eric. He was just seen in front of a magistrate moments ago where his bond was set at $1 million. If Algie Washington does make his bond, he'll have to be on 24-hour house arrest. He'll also need a GPS monitor. And as you just mentioned, I spoke to the victim's family. They tell me that they feel that police failed her and did not protect her. In her final moments in the back of an ambulance, 23-year-old Jaynice Ferguson told an officer her ex-boyfriend had just shot her. Last Wednesday, police say Ferguson was found inside of her apartment on Dunvale Street, shot in the thigh, and later she died at the hospital. A week after her chilling last words, and police have now arrested her ex-boyfriend, Algie Washington, wanted for murder.
Mr. Washington, you are charged with the first-degree felony offense of murder.
Her family told me they're relieved that Washington's behind bars, but feel police never took her concerns seriously after years of reporting his abuse and trying to break free. We spoke to the CEO of Aid to Victims of Domestic Abuse, Maisha Coulter.
A couple of things stood out. One was that there had been a long history of different types of family violence crimes, aggravated assault, choking, things like that.
Most recently, in March of 2023, Washington was sentenced to 1 year behind bars for assault. Charging documents say she wouldn't give him her phone, so he punched her in the face, choked her, picked up a kitchen knife and a pair of scissors, and told her she wasn't leaving. According to court documents, her family said sometime in February or March of 2023, he showed up at her father's house and told him, "If I can't have her, then nobody can." What needs to happen for officials to take these type of concerns seriously?
Yeah, I think it's just a mixed response. Certainly there are things within the law that allow police officers to make an arrest when, especially if somebody has a history of domestic abuse, what kind of consequences are we really giving? And are there any interventions that work to really change that behavior so that we don't wind up in a situation where everybody knows it took, everything, she tried everything and she still, lost her life.
And Ferguson's family tells me that there were many times where she called police and asked for help. Her current boyfriend said there was one time where he showed up to their apartment demanding to speak to her. Court records show that there were 2 incidents where her tires were slashed, and she believes it was Washington, but there was not enough evidence to prove that.
Houston woman helped police find her killer moments before her death.
That's right. Jaynice Ferguson was killed at a Southwest Houston apartment complex exactly 1 week ago. Well, today, police arrested her ex-boyfriend. Fox 26's Abigail Dye joining us now live. So, Abigail, there were multiple assaults leading up to that killing.
This is sadly a story we tell all too often. Domestic abuse leading to death. And court records show that this suspect has been convicted of assault, with Ferguson listed as the victim multiple times before this alleged murder. 23-year-old Jaynice Ferguson murdered by her ex, according to police. Ferguson's family says she was caring, goal-oriented, and God-fearing, and taken too soon. On January 17th, police responded to a shooting call at her apartment complex and found Ferguson with a gunshot wound to her leg. Court records say she was able to tell an officer in the back of the ambulance that her ex-boyfriend shot her before she bled out.
Mr. Washington, you are charged with the first-degree felony offense of murder.
Police identified the killer ex as Algie Washington and arrested him Wednesday.
I will set the bond in this case at $1 million.
It was a continuous pattern of violence predicated on this woman who now paid the ultimate price.
Andy Kahn with Crime Stoppers explains how Washington has a violent history, including 4 assault convictions with Ferguson as the victim.
In this case, the officer referenced another police report where she was hospitalized after the defendant beat her with a wooden board.
Though Washington's convictions span back to 2010, Kahn says he only spent a year in jail.
I can't imagine how terrified she must have been the last time that this guy was released from jail, which was in 2023. I think it's a calling card for people of this county. Start recognizing that we do have a serious problem.
Domestic violence is a huge problem, and sadly, it all too often leads to tragedies like these. If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence, you can call the domestic violence hotline at 800-799-7233. Help is available, and it could save a life.
Washington is currently detained on a staggering $1 million bond, facing the gravest charge of murder. In the event of a conviction, the death penalty looms over him. However, this semblance of justice remains painfully bittersweet. Jaynice took every conceivable measure to escape the clutches of this deranged individual, relocating, concealing her online presence, seeking refuge in law enforcement's protection. Yet nothing could shield her from his relentless pursuit. Her last years on this earth were stained with relentless trauma, shock, and sorrow, all while the justice system seemed to falter in its duty. We implore you to hold her grieving family and friends in your thoughts and prayers, as we fervently hope Jaynice Ferguson-Williams finally finds the peace in the afterlife that was so cruelly denied to her in life.